Have you ever wondered why 90% of New Year's resolutions are never met? Today's video is about setting goals. Most people set their goals in December so that they can start with them in January and February. Like all through the months of the year, there are goals that people think that they should achieve. Have you ever wondered why 90% of New Year's resolutions are never met? It might be because you're copying other people's ideas instead of finding your own path or your own way to set your own goals. People writing more than 10 things that they claim they are their goals for the new year, but they end up not even accomplishing half of the list. Well, the problem may be that you're using methods that other people are using for themselves, and they're just giving out their ideas of how their method helped them, and instead of using your own method, you're using someone else's method, meaning that person created that method for themselves, like it worked for them. It doesn't mean it's the same method that you should use, because maybe you're under different thoughts, you're under different circumstances, your environment are not the same. So it's better you start with, yes, you refer from other people's goals and resolutions that they have done, the methods that they have used, but you should come up with your own specific and unique method that will be able to propel you further, and you will feel better instead of using other people's method. So an example of really bad goal setting is in high school. You see, in high school, we had teachers who gave people targets that they wanted them to achieve. Like if, let's say your math teacher comes to class and they tell you, you get an 90 in the next exam, then they tell the other person you should get an 80 in the next exam. So meaning the child is not having a chance to make their own goals according to their strengths in the subject. Because if it were me, actually I wasn't that strong in math, and I usually told myself, if I get a 50%, I'm okay. But then there's the teacher who keeps saying, if you're below 60, you have failed. So that usually used to break my heart, because I'm like, why am I a failure and I've actually reached my target? Like, that's not your target, it's supposed to be mine. So yeah, I think most people follow other people's method that they don't know where they originate from, and they think it will work for them, but they just end up backfiring. I decided from that situation, I enlightened people on how to avoid such bad goal settings, and just for you to flourish in your own way instead of following other people's methods of telling you what to do so that you can achieve your goals. Another type of bad goal setting is when your parents tell you what you are supposed to have accomplished in your life at a certain age. Like let's say you're 22, people, not only parents, but the society and people, like at the age of 22, you're expected to have finished primary school and high school, and maybe you're in your uni. But in real sense, that's not how it's supposed to be. Like, that's just a construct that someone came up with and said that we should follow this. Because it won't hurt anyone if a 50-year-old man goes back to primary school after he had finished or he didn't join, and he'll still survive. Like, some constructs made by society and how people's minds work might not necessarily work for you, because people are different, and if you follow just the crowd and not know what you're supposed to do with yourself, that's how you fail in your goals. Like the way parents pressure you and tell you, I want a B when you come back home, and then maybe for you, while you were in school, you went through all the challenges and everything that made you not get that B. But the parent is like, all you were doing in school is eating and sleeping. Why didn't you achieve your goal? But when you look at your side, you're like, I really tried to study, I really tried, but it didn't work out, and that's not supposed to make me feel like I'm a failure because circumstances made you not to reach where you wanted to reach. So in terms of goal setting, just find a proper method, do your research, find other people who have set goals that they have achieved in terms of business, in terms of career, in terms of health, in terms of mental health and everything. research on those topics, know how some of the people have achieved the position that they have achieved. Don't make your goals look like they are chasing you or you're chasing them. They're supposed to work for you. Your goals should be behind you, actually. I tell myself that my goals are behind me because it's me to lead them, not them to lead me. Because if you find yourself, maybe, let's take Jane for an example. So Jane wrote in her goal, 2023 year goal, that she must have a clear mental health by 30th July and before her birthday. So you see, Jane has given her goal a specific direction that she wants it to lead her. Let's take me for an example. Maybe if I'm setting a goal, I'd leave it so open-ended that it won't even seem like a goal because I'll be working towards it either way, so it doesn't need the name goal. My goal will be improve my mental health. That will be the title of my goal. I won't give it an end date, I won't give it a year, I won't give it any limitations that might make it constrain me to working for it. I hope that makes sense. So my method is really simple for you to be able to define yourself better using your goal. There's a time when we were in class and a lecturer was teaching a unit about some Italian guy called Pareto, and there was this concept of the Pareto principle. This principle talks of how 80% of the things you do only produce 20% of the results. Meaning, if you're doing 1,000 things, only 20 of those things are going to make you successful. So if you look at life like that, you'll be able to narrow down how you want your goals to be, what you want to be involved in so that you can get to your goal, what will you sideline so that you can be able to focus on your goal instead of finding other quirky methods to help you as a shortcut. Like, you have to know to detail what is it that you want to remove, what is it that you want to add, what is it that you'd like to not see again, what is it that you expect to see after you've reached your goal. So that means 80% of some of the goals that you put out, only 20% of them will help you succeed in life. Because you can't tell me you have a 10 list of goals and maybe miraculously all of them fall into place. That will be wow, that will be awesome. But then if you look at it on this other side, if you have a list of 10 goals with you, only maybe 2 or 3 of them will be accomplished, and that doesn't mean you're a failure. It's like, actually, you've succeeded better than someone who didn't do any of those goals and they had told themselves that they are important. So yeah, use the Pareto principle to remind yourself that the more you do doesn't mean the more successful you'll become. It's actually the opposite. The less you do, the more you focus on a specific circle, the more chances of success you get. I hope now how to go about it. First, you'll have to get yourself a notebook. This notebook you will name it whatever you want, but for me, I'd like you to name it success instead of goals, because goals is an overrated word that people actually are misusing right now. Number 2 is to start writing in that book. Like, let's say every week you have done something to improve your mental health. Either you went for a jog, or you talked to a therapist, or you watched one of my productivity videos and it helped you, or just anything that you did during the week that is leading you towards your goal, because you can't forget that what your goal is. Now, that is step 2. Step 3 is that you be reviewing it every month. I mean that after, let's say January has 4 weeks. Now, for every week you've written what you've done. Now, at the end of January, you sit down and review your notebook. You look at what have you done so far and how can you improve what you've done. Because if you take it from this method, you'll be able to see that nothing crushes your heart. Oh, I've not reached my goal. Oh, I'm not even close to what my goal is. Because this method makes sure you're on the path that you need to be so that you can achieve your goal. So after 4 weeks, you'll be able to see I have actually improved, but I am not where I want to be. Okay? So that makes it, gets you at a better position, and it kind of motivates you because you can see your own progress. Like you can see, enyewe, there is something that I'm doing and it's making good progress. Instead of writing, lose 50 kgs in 1 month. Now you'll be looking at your notebook and you're like,
at a gym membership I've not even signed up.
And then you start beating yourself up. You're like, hii weight yote lazima nitoe sahi, and you're really pressurizing your body, unajipea stress because you can't handle all that at once. Like that's too much for someone to handle at once. So this method will help you to narrow down and remove all the clutter in your mind and give you more free space to do other things. Because if you, tuseme January imeisha and you're like, I drank water, I ate healthy food, I talked to a therapist, and then you're like, wow, now let's go to January, let's go to February. You'll actually be psyched up to move on to the next month compared to someone who wanted to lose 50 kgs na hajaanza hata hiyo journey. So yeah, try to make your life as simple as possible. I don't want you to stress, I don't want you to overthink. The clearer your mind gets, the simpler your life is. And that's how I am planning on setting my success stories on for next year, for 2023. So yeah, that method is quite simple for those who would like to follow it, but make sure you do your thorough research. By thorough research, I mean that your goal has to have supporting ideas and tips that you have seen from people or you have read somewhere. Let me give an example of, maybe you want to graduate with a second class upper and above. So you have to research and know how to study, like what times to study, how to memorize topics, how to understand topics, how to internalize units, what does this unit have, why am I being taught this unit, what did the lecturer say before he left. You see, things like those two tiny things, you have to keep them in your mind. Ndio uweze kuget your second upper class, because you can't tell yourself, oh, I want to get a second upper class, and then you don't even study, you don't go to school, you drop out, and then you come back, you tell them, where's my second upper? And you didn't even put in effort for it. So why I'm emphasizing on research again is that find supporting things. If you're on a diet and you want to improve your health, know which foods you have to eat, which foods you have to eliminate, which food to do, which food not to do, like things like that. Do research, inspire other people, talk to other people, find new friends, break the old patterns that are not serving you. Make sure that your goals are according to your own capabilities. Don't use other people's methods. Look at your own life as like jiangalie wewe peke yako.